Yun Chi's leisurely stroll lasted another hour before he changed direction and headed toward Sinking Dream Valley. Although Sinking Dream Valley had the word valley in it, it was really located inside a massive palace. From the outside, the palace looked to be several kilometers wide at most. In reality, its internal space spanned over 100 kilometers. It was also shrouded by fog like a dream. When Yun Chi got close, a Sinking Dream Valley disciple walked up to him and said stiffly, "If you are not a seeker of Sinking Dream, then please go as far away as possible." A person who wished to enter Sinking Dream Valley was either excessively agitated or looked to be in despair. It was clear at first glance that Yun Chi wasn't such a person. Yun Chi said indifferently, "Please inform Valley Master Ne that Yun Chi has come to pay him a visit." Letter 1D627, letter 1D4C7, letter 212F, letter 212F, letter 1D464, letter 212F, letter 1D623. Letter 1D450, letter 1D630, letter 1D45A. Yun Chi. The Sinking Dream disciple frowned for a second before realization struck him. Your divine son Yuan." He immediately dropped to one knee and said, "I have eyes but cannot see. Please forgive me for my foolishness, divine son Yuan." "Is Valley Master Ne present?" Yun Chi asked. The Sinking Dream disciple answered respectfully, "In fact, yes. The Valley Master is currently receiving a rather special guest in the valley. I shall notify him right away." He did not keep Yun Chi waiting for too long. Meng Ne quickly strode out of the entrance, his ancient face arranged into a smile as he greeted him. "You surprised me, divine son Yuan. I wasn't expecting you to have the leisure to visit my old self." Yun Chi was a god-bearer with perfect divine essence, and a man who conducted himself like a conqueror. Although he had rejected his title, Meng Ne already thought of him as the future Dreamweaver Divine Regent. The Divine Son conferral ceremony had just concluded a while ago, and he still hadn't recovered from the excitement he received during the ceremony. Now Yun Chi was paying him a visit in person. It was no wonder that the wizened old man looked a little overwhelmed, in a good way, of course. Yun Chi bowed slightly and greeted him humbly. "I am aware of my rudeness for visiting without informing you beforehand. I hope I haven't interrupted your work." Meng Ne hurriedly dodged out of the way. "You cannot bow to me, divine son Yuan. I am an old thing with one foot in the grave. Just tell me what you need, and it shall be done." Yun Chi obliged and jumped straight to the point. "It would be impolite to refuse so very well. Was that Pan Bueng, the former divine son of Owl Butterfly Kingdom of God, who entered the Sinking Dream Valley just now?" "That's correct." Meng Ne recalled Pan Bueng and sighed. "Sigh, fate has a way of making men miserable. To think that a former divine son would fall into such despair that his heart is like a pool of death. Wait, are you here for Pan Bueng, divine son Yuan? Are you acquainted with him by any chance?" Yun Chi shook his head. "No, I am not. Have you put Pan Bueng inside Sinking Dream?" Meng Ne sighed again. "He is the former divine son of the Owl Butterfly Kingdom of God, so this old one tried his best to persuade him to see reason. However, not a sliver of hope could be found in his heart, nor was there any attachment toward the mortal coil whatsoever. All he asked was to fall into an eternal dream. He even gave me all of his abyssal crystals and profound artifacts, so the dream could last as long as possible. That's why I had no choice but to obey. He has already fallen a slumber, and I was just about to put him in a dream when I heard your arrival. I decided he could wait a bit and came to meet you first, divine son Yuan." Yun Chi let out a sigh of relief. "Good, good. I'm glad to hear that the disaster is averted." "Disaster?" Meng Ne was caught off guard by his word usage. "What do you mean? Valley Master Ne?" Yun Chi's expression grew solemn. "You've been the Valley Master for many years. Do you know if a divine son or divine daughter has ever plummeted into Sinking Dream in the long history of the Sinking Dream Valley?" "Never," Meng Ne replied without hesitation. "Everyone who can become a divine son or a divine daughter is a dragon or phoenix among mortals. They do not need a dream to escape the sorrow of the mortal coil. Besides, everyone knows that entering Sinking Dream is basically half a death sentence. That is the opposite of what a divine child desires." As if realizing what Yun Chi was trying to say, he added quickly, "Pan Bueng may be a former divine son, but his title was removed, and his current status in the Owl Butterfly Kingdom of God is even worse than an ordinary prince's. As for what he experienced," Meng Ne shook his head again, "Sinking Dream isn't bad considering his circumstances. For him at least it is a wonderful escape." Yun Chi frowned. "Even if he was removed, he is still a god-bearer with 80% divine essence. Besides, how do you know he won't become the Owl Butterfly divine son again?" Meng Ne looked confused. I don't understand what you mean, Divine Sun Yuan. Do you remember how much divine essence Meng Jianyuan bore, Valley Master Nei? Yun Qi asked a question every man and woman in Dreamweaver knew about. 80%, Meng Nei answered with the same confusion. And how much divine essence do I have now? Yun Qi asked. 100. Yun Qi's gaze sharpened, and Meng Nei felt an invisible pressure on his shoulders. If Meng Jianyuan, a god-bearer with innate 80% divine essence, can awaken another 20% and become a perfect god-bearer, then why not Pan Buweng? But, Meng Nei argued, a miracle like yours does not happen even once in 100,000 years, Divine Sun Yuan. The chances are exceedingly low, to say the least. That's exactly right. The chances are exceedingly low, but it is by no means absolutely impossible. Yun Qi's voice relaxed slightly. So, what if Pan Buweng did awaken his latent divine essence? What if he turned out to be better than the current owl butterfly Divine Sun after his awakening? Did you consider what you might have done if that scenario, however unlikely it might be, came true? Meng Nei stopped breathing for a moment. Yun Qi continued. Once a person plummets into a dream and enjoys all the luxuries they were unable to enjoy in reality, they would no longer be able to accept cruel, hopeless reality. They would become crippled in both body and mind. Even if Pan Buweng did awaken his divine essence down the line, it would be meaningless because he'd be crippled by sinking dream. Can you imagine how angry the owl butterfly kingdom of God would be if that happened? Who do you think they would blame when all was said and done? Before Meng Nei could answer, Yun Qi pressed. Valley Master Nei, can you say with absolute certainty that this what-if scenario will never happen? You still have the option to say no right now. Why should you accept such a huge risk into your sinking dream valley? Yun Qi's final argument extinguished whatever retort Meng Nei was going to muster. Cold sweat broke out of his forehead when he mulled over everything Yun Qi said. He let out a huge sigh before exclaiming as if awakening from a dream of his own, "You are absolutely right, Divine Sun Yuan. Even if it is exceedingly unlikely that such a scenario would happen, if it did, then the consequences would be unimaginable. Thank goodness that you arrived before I put him in sinking dream, Divine Sun Yuan. I will pull him out right now." No, but Yun Qi stopped him. Pan Buweng came to Sinking Dream Valley for a reason, and you said it yourself that he has fallen into such despair that his heart is akin to a pool of death. If you awaken him and inform him that you cannot allow him to enter Sinking Dream, you would be cutting off his final attachment toward life. Valley Mazer Nei, you must have seen countless people like him, and you must have disallowed some of them from entering Sinking Dream for various reasons. Pray tell how many of them chose to commit suicide after hearing your verdict. Meng Nei blanched a little. Considering Pan Buweng's current state, robbing him of his final wish could very well drive him to suicide, am I right? Yun Qi looked at Meng Nei. If, say, the former divine son of the owl butterfly kingdom of God chose to kill himself in the Dreamweaver kingdom of God? Yun Qi shook his head slightly. This could be a big or small matter depending on the circumstances, but regardless, Sinking Dream Valley would not be able to escape responsibility. It is yet another risk that you should not take. Meng Nei withdrew his foot and turned around to face Yun Qi directly. Then, his posture visibly lower than what it was before, he said, "Please guide me, Divine Sun Yuan." As the Valley Master of Sinking Dream Valley, Meng Nei had witnessed all kinds of people in his life. However, he had never received a divine child before now. After all, it was far, far too difficult for a god-bearer possessing enough divine essence to be born. In fact, only one had appeared in nearly every generation except this one. This was a special generation where multiple divine sons and divine daughters had appeared in multiple kingdoms of God. One could even say that this was a generation of miracles, one that some even argued had appeared to combat some sort of tribulation. Naturally, this was the first time Meng Nei had encountered such a conundrum. If it wasn't for Yun Qi's repeated reminders, he would not have realized that he was burying a huge threat one for his own sinking dream valley. Yun Qi pretended to think for a moment before asking, "You said he has fallen a slumber, Valley Master Nei. In that case, can you guide his subconscious to follow me obediently?" Meng Nei nodded hurriedly. "That's easy. All dream seekers lower their soul defenses in order to enter the dream. In his current unconscious state, it would be very easy to add some suggestions to his mind. But this doesn't seem like the best idea. It's better than the alternative." Yun Qi ordered immediately, "Valley Master Nei, prepare a small profound arc and set its destination to the endless fog. At the same time, suggest to to Pan Bueng that he follows me for the next hour. I will personally send him away from the Dreamweaver kingdom of God, and I will make sure that there are plenty of witnesses. This way, whatever Pan Bueng decides to do after he awakens and realizes that he has been rejected by Sinking Dream Valley will have nothing to do with Sinking Dream Valley or the Dreamweaver kingdom of God. Meng Ne nodded strongly. That makes sense. That would eliminate all the possible risks. You are only 120 years old and you are already so thoughtful and farsighted. I am most impressed. With you at the helm, the Dreamweaver kingdom of God will surely welcome in a golden age. It wasn't long before the profound arc was prepared. Yun Qi quickly boarded the boat with an unconscious Pan Bueng standing right beside him. Xiaoyuan, stay at the Divine Sun Palace. This is one trip you won't be following, Yun Qi messaged. Meng Xiaoyuan's voice returned quickly. The Divine Regent gave me strict orders not to leave your side, young master. Yun Qi narrowed his eyes slightly and uttered in a cold voice, and I do not need a subordinate who disobeys my orders. A long time later, Meng Xiaoyuan finally replied, I will quietly await your safe return, young master. Relax. I'm just escorting Pan Bueng out of our kingdom. I'll be back before you know it. The profound arc activated and flew toward the exit. Countless people saw Yun Qi escorting the former owl butterfly divine son, Pan Bueng, out of the Dreamweaver kingdom of God. It wasn't long before the profound arc flew past the borders and toward the endless fog. Yun Qi was standing at the bow of the profound arc and casting his divine perception ahead. What? Are you plotting? Li Xiu asked. Yun Qi answered with half-lidded eyes, the best way to manipulate a man in despair is to give him the thing he needed the most. He would do anything to have it. He knew this with absolute certainty. After all, he had been in Pan Bueng's shoes before. Where are you taking him? Li Xiu asked another question. Nowhere, Yun Qi chuckled. It's just a ruse. As soon as he said this, he grabbed Pan Bueng and jumped off the profound arc, landing on a barren mountain. The profound arc continued to fly toward its set destination until it ran out of energy and crash-landed in the endless fog. As soon as the duel landed, Yun Qi produced the world Divine Stone and created a profound formation in a flash of red light. Then he and Pan Bueng vanished into it. Deep in the endless fog, Yun Qi dropped Pan Bueng on the ground before mustering his intent. The slumbering abyssal Qilin god immediately opened its eyes and planted an impossibly terrifying force field on the unconscious Pan Bueng. This way, the man would not be able to move a muscle even if he woke up prematurely. Yun Qi himself had already stepped through the profound formation and returned to the barren mountain. After he put away the world Divine Stone, Yun Qi took to the skies and leisurely made his way back to the Dreamweaver kingdom of God. Everyone saw Yun Qi sending Pan Bueng away on a profound arc, and everyone saw him returning alone too. Clearly, Divine Son Yuan was just seeing off a guest. Now, whatever happens to Pan Bueng, it no longer had anything to do with Yun Qi or the Dreamweaver kingdom of God. After returning to the Dreamweaver kingdom of God, Yun Qi traveled straight for his Divine Sun Palace. When he got close, Meng Kongdu, lord of the first Dream Hall, happened to be flying toward him. He was followed by a young man. Judging from his appearance, he was probably one of Meng Kongdu's sons. Yun Qi slowed down and greeted them, Dream Lord Meng. Meng Kongdu's expression darkened. He looked away and snorted through his nose. The young man behind him looked conflicted, however. He did not dare to greet Yun Qi, but he did give him a nod. Yun Qi did not respond to him. When they passed by each other, he let out a cold snort of his own and said, Idiot. Meng Kongdu abruptly stopped in his tracks and looked back. He asked darkly, What did you say, Meng Jianyuan? Yun Qi also stopped in his tracks and looked back, but he was full of smiles, unlike Meng Kongdu's stormy expression. I see your ears are failing because of your age, Dream Lord Du. I don't mind repeating myself for old folks like you. Listen clearly, Dream Lord Du, I said. Ha! Meng Kongdu was so angry he was sneering. Do you think I wouldn't dare to teach you a lesson just because you are protected by the Sword Fairy and possess a perfect divine essence, Meng Jianyuan? His fingers opened, and a storm of power shook the surrounding space. Ha! Ha-ha-ha, ha-ha-ha-ha-ha. Yun Qi's chuckle slowly turned into a full-throated laughter of scorn. If you really know that I am under Aunt's protection, then you should know that there is no one she wouldn't point her sword at once she resolves herself to kill someone. If you really know that I have a perfect divine essence, then you should know who will be the future divine regent of the Dreamweaver kingdom of God. Meng Kongdu stiffened, and his presence shriveled despite himself. Meng Kongdu's aura was terrifying to say the least, but Yun Qi continued to stare at him like he was a piece of dirt. Anyone with even a speck of brain would know that now is not the time to provoke me. Even if you don't wish to leave Meng Jiangxi's clique, you should have been smart enough to play both sides and leave yourself an out if nothing else. Unfortunately, there will always be self-conceited idiots who can't see past their own noses. Am I right, Dream Lord Du? You! Meng Kongdu snarled, but his presence shriveled up even more. It was at this moment a hand grabbed Meng Kongdu's arm. The young man behind him hurriedly stepped forward and saluted Yun Qi deeply. Divine Son Yuan, my father is a forceful and inflexible man, but he doesn't mean to disrespect you. Please forgive his natural temper. I promise to pay you a visit in the future and apologize on his behalf in the future. Please forgive him. Meng Kongdu's mouth twitched, but he did not refute him. Yun Qi cast the young man a long look but did not say anything either. He turned away and left. Meng Kongdu withdrew his aura and lowered his arm. For a time, he couldn't say anything. After returning to the Divine Sun Palace, Yun Qi stepped into his cultivation space immediately. Deep inside the endless fog, Pan Buweng struggled back to wakefulness. He did not know how long he had been unconscious. All he knew was that he felt like a million mountains were sitting on his person. When he forced himself to lift his head, all he could see was thick darkness and even thicker abyssal dust. Where is this? I thought. I'd entered a dream. So why am I still suffering? Why am I not seeing Wuking? You're finally awake, pitiful boy. A cold, low voice that seemed both far and close at the same time entered his ears. Pan Buweng stiffly turned his neck until he saw a ball of distorted gray fog. There seemed to be a pair of dark, shadowy lights in the gray fog, a pair of ever-changing eyes. Who are you? He thought that sinking Dream Valley only produced the most wonderful dreams, so why was he encountering the darkest nightmare instead? The distorted shadow answered, I am the fog monarch who rules the endless fog. Fog. Monarch, he whispered before laughing scornfully. Hee, ha 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 ha, hilarious. To think you would use such a laughable method to humiliate me. I don't care who you are, kill me. If you dare, ha ha. The fog monarch returned a chuckle of his own. You are just a spineless worm and you think you deserve me to humiliate you. Pan Buweng. The fog monarch addressed him by his name. Are you aware that you have branded an eternal stain on the title Divine Son with the pitiful being you are? Ha 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 ha. Pan Buweng was still laughing tragically, uncaring how the so-called fog monarch knew about him. That's right. I'm just a pitiful piece of trash who can't do anything. I wanted to protect my mother, but I could only watch her die a horrible death. Her murderers were right in front of me, and yet I was powerless to lay so much as a finger on them. I promised Wuking I would free her from that mad witch. But she died, and I don't even have the right to take revenge for her. Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. He was laughing, but his tears were streaming. The fog monarch asked, so how did Shen Wuking die? Did you witness her death with your own eyes? Pan Buweng was still laughing. No, I couldn't even meet her one last time. So what you're saying is that you didn't see her die? The fog monarch's voice abruptly turned harsh. So how can you say that she's actually dead? Pan Buweng's laughter abruptly ceased, and a furious, uncontrollable roar erupted from his mouth. She's dead. Xu Yanai killed her. Everyone knows that she's dead. The fog monarch simply sneered. So your love for your so-called beloved is so fickle that a few careless words from others is enough for you to sentence her to death, instead of believing that she would struggle to live despite everything because of the bond you share, and suffer in silence if only to increase your chances of living. You would rather believe that she is a useless piece of garbage who would plummet into the darkness and despair at the first sign of tragedy. Pan Buweng's eyes widened with pure, unadulterated fury. She's not a piece of garbage. You don't get to call her that. You're the one who believed that she's a piece of garbage. The endless fog's cold voice devoured his full-throated howl like nothing. You're the one who sentenced her to death in your heart. You're the one who lacked even the courage to venture into the eternal night kingdom of God and confirm the truth with your eyes. You think you deserve the former eternal night divine daughter. As you are right now, not even a little.